Hello, my name is Mitch and I draw Blood Force, and we're here today to finish up the tweener issues of Spawn 5, 6, and 7. This is, of course, in between the Spawn miniseries-ish, where, you know, the Spawn versus Violator miniseries, and the Writer series that's coming up. I'm looking forward to that, but before we get there, we got to get through the Overkill epic. But before we do that, if you like the channel, if you want to support me as an artist, or if you want to see Blood Force get closer to getting out on those shelves, the best thing to do is to open up the description and click on the link there. That'll take you to my Patreon. And if you subscribe there, that's where all of these videos go before they get uploaded to YouTube. That's where all of the Blood Force stuff goes, all of the behind the scenes. You can also go over, follow me on Instagram, and if you like, you can DM me there for a commission. So that's always fun. But getting back to Spawn number 7. So this is January. Last one was November. So a bit of a stumbling block there. But Todd's been pretty good about keeping to a monthly schedule up to this point. And this is another one of those kind of vague covers. It does have to do with the issue itself, because this is, of course, when Spawn is trying to avoid using his powers. So he's going to resort to using lots of made-up kinds of guns. But the thing is, I mean, if you look at it, there's no indication that that's why. It's just Spawn with guns. It's a fine drawing, though. I mean, there's very few Todd drawings where it's like, you know, get it together, Todd. That doesn't happen that often. And this one is dedicated to Rob Liefeld, who co-created Overkill. Oh, and they say Overkill, not Overt Kill. Interesting. But we're gonna get a big old breakdown. And letterer/editor Tom Orzechowski is not going to tell Todd to stop giving him work. So he's going to keep encouraging him. Just keep on writing those words, Todd. It's all gold. So, Spawn has broken into a U.S. military installation, and he's going to steal some made-up-looking weapons. And this one particularly seems like it's going to be the one that will kill Overkill. It's not, but it does feel like he's playing up this particular gun. And now we're going to get... So the military are aware that he's in there. They've noticed him breaking in. And I guess he's barred the door. So they're going to try and break in too with his battering ram. As far as I can tell, if you try battering a door like that, it will not work, but that's okay. And that's a fun looking panel for busting through a barrier. He actually did manage to make that look dynamic. But they're going to bust in on Spawn. Spawn doesn't want to kill a bunch of kids. Well, here he calls them a bunch of young army brats, and here he calls them the country's elite. So he seems a bit... He's kind of glorifying the army a little bit, but that, you know, for an ex-army guy, I guess that's kind of natural. So his only way out is to try to teleport. See if that works. That's essentially what he's doing. He says he hasn't tried it yet. He hopes it works, and it kind of does. It essentially turns him into goo. He kind of He just turns down into base molecules. Turned the gun into base molecules too. And managed to put everything back together again at the other side. So, good for him. And he gets helped up by Bobby. I believe we'll see a bunch of Bobby going forward. So how much did the teleporting drain his power? I feel like that's an important question. Not a lot, as it turns out. At the beginning of Spawn number 5, his power is at 8092. And since then, he has both fixed his broken arm and teleported. And that only took him down 61. So maybe he can do a lot more than he thought. It's just the fact that he was... Like, the tantrums he was throwing in those first 3 issues. I've never really tracked this before. But it seems like it might be fun. So, first thing he does, as far as I can tell, 9995... This is after the little Tinkerbell bomb took 4. That seems like it would take a bit more. So, does the transformation and throws a gigantic tantrum. And that takes him down to 9432. So 563 transforming his looks and throwing a tantrum. Then in number 3, down to 9432. That was the number in issue number 2. And he transforms his looks again. And that puts him down to 8821. So that was 600. Oh, but then he threw another tantrum. I guess this one was a little bigger. So transforming your looks plus tantrum equals at least 500 units. Like, this is 589? Yeah. Down to 8821. So that was 8821. Spawn number 4 has him doing all sorts of spooky magic. 8821. Regenerating your heart costs about 160. So we're at 8664. And then big old blast. I'm thinking that probably took up a lot. Oh, more blasts. Really? Okay, and that's it for that one. So, from 8664, he did like 2 blasts. Wound up at 8092. So again, about 570. So like, so out of the 2,000 almost units he's used, like 1,000 of that was on tantrums. And in the meantime, fixing your broken arm and teleporting costs 60. So it feels like Todd is maybe starting to realize, wait, I'm burning through these numbers too fast. If I keep this up, my guy won't be able to do anything. So, Bobby, I don't know, accuses Spawn of being a drunk, takes his mask off, and just to see him as a charred mess, and thinks it's funny, because he looks funny. And Spawn goes, no! And then we're going to cut back to Overkill. He's going to head back to Sicily after he fixes his arm. And so now we find out what Spawn was knowing about. And he's having some premonitions of the past. Yes. And this is, I assume, what his killer said to him. The whole, scum like you make me sick. There isn't any room for traitors. See you in hell, bro. All this shit. And that will be after the Writers series. That'll be the next 2-issue sequence, if we recall. So that'll be okay. And I feel like I need to get up to that in a reasonable amount of time. Because I'm sure at some point Youngblood is going to start referring to it. Not that that has anything to do with that. And Wanda wakes up in the middle of the night with apparently having shared the same vision, where she's convinced now that Al was murdered instead of just killed in action. And now, so Spawn is discussing his battle plans with Bobby about how he's going to take on the mob, because the mob has been killing vagrants. And that seems reasonable. And I know we get to a point where Spawn is seen as like the protector of the alley, all that kind of shit. And he's gonna go in covertly, which means ditching the cape, not the chains or the gigantic fucking gun. So, but this is a covert Spawn. It's a fine drawing. Again. And then we meet a page where Wanda discovers that the guy who was talking to her about the SPCA wasn't actually from the SPCA. We need that to be a whole page. Which I guess I can see. The problem is Todd doesn't know what to do with it. Because really it only needed to be in this panel here. But we got to figure out something to put on this page. So he puts in a character with big ears and then has him make jokes about it, which is completely unnecessary. But again, he's trying to give his characters business. He's trying to give him something to do. So I guess that's something. All right, so Spawn is breaking in to the tower where Tony Twist resides. And that is an interesting angle, actually. You wouldn't think... I mean, well, okay, I wouldn't think to try and do a shot from that particular angle. But that's pretty good, pretty dynamic, too. And Spawn goes in and shoots up Tony Twist's office, looking for overt kill. Not really registering that he's the one who hired Overkill. So, I mean, it seems he's mad at Overkill and not the person who tried to kill him. Which is dumb. But nobody ever accused Spawn of being smart. And now we're on to Spawnmobile number 2. Yes, indeed, the comic is doing fine. Thanks for asking. Alright, so now Spawn is going to meet Overkill on the docks. And this looks like it should be a setup, like that's a dummy. But no, that's really him. Looks good too, just like a little bit of a highlight on the top of the head. Makes it look like he's lit from above. And he tries to do a leap over him here, but Overkill catches the chains. And he's going to keep ragging on him for these chains. Meanwhile, he's got his own fucking chains. Like, that's fairly obvious there. I guess the difference is that they're not magic. They don't move on their own. So they're not worth making fun of. And big old stab in the eye. Good shot. And apparently Overkill can do a blast here, but we're going to get like some big old shootout stuff. This all looks pretty good. And this is Spawn takes off his mask to show him that he's a corpse, which Overkill finds funny. And okay. And I never realized how much Todd cheats on these chains. But you look at it, and he's basically going and then you just make sure the colorist colors correctly inside the gaps in here. He doesn't do it like that always. I mean, here he's doing it a bit more properly. And here it's more of a Frank Miller kind of silhouette thing. Kind of. It's a bit dashed off. But it's interesting seeing how that was done. And then just this is the climax here, was he finally shot him with the gun. And it worked. It's a good shot. And again, like, nobody ever accused Todd of being a bad artist. I just kind of wish he didn't try writing. Oh well. And I guess he thought this was badass. Aftermath. I don't know if I ever thought it was. Todd keeps insisting on showing the aftermath. Like, nobody cares about seeing not the actual fight. I guess we got a fair amount of fight in the last issue. But, like, this is the same kind of thing as when he had the Spawn versus Violator fight. Essentially the same thing. Right down to the goofy sound effects. And he basically dismantles Overkill, although not enough for him to not return, from what I've seen. And blows up the dock that he was on. Nice shot. Good lighting. It's still a little weird how his explosions tend to look kind of half liquid. But I like the artwork combined with the color here. That looks pretty spectacular, and it often does in Spawn comics. And that's going to do it for issue 7. Anything interesting going on here? Just some letters. I don't know what the fuck this is. Looks a little bit like Shadowhawk. Like Shadowhawk crossed with a little bit of Ninja Turtles. Just a bit. I don't know. I don't know what that is. And I can't seem to find it online. And I don't know who this is. It looks a little familiar. I don't know who Phillips is. I assume not Sean Phillips. I don't know. It might be, but who knows. And then there's that series of videos with Stan Lee, Rob Liefeld, and Todd McFarlane, where they make up Overkill. Again, before they've changed the name. And then another weird ad for Fantagraphics. Just Todd being... I mean, Fantagraphics does tend to put forth some quality stuff as far as I understand, but it doesn't seem like it would have anything to do with Todd, really. But, I mean, if they're, I guess, willing to give him some money, or if he's just giving them ad space, I don't know. But, can't complain. And then Wildstar Sky Zero's coming out soon, guys. You're invited to a 30 megaton blowout. It's the face of the future. Not the future with Image, but, we get 4 issues with Image anyway. So yeah, that's going to do it for Spawn number 7. Again, not a ton happening in there. I would say less than what happened in number 6. But we're going to have 4 straight issues written by people who have had the term writer applied to them before. And people, were happy about it. So that should be good at least. And then after that, we get the Who Killed Spawn thing. And then Grant Morrison, I think, writes a few. So we're going to get some real writers for a little while at least. That'll be fun. But this is going to do it for this one. Thanks very much for watching. If you like this video, please hit like, hit subscribe, hit the notifications so you know when the next one comes up. Go follow me on Twitter. More importantly, go subscribe on Patreon. That's where all these videos go before they make it to YouTube, usually a week or so in advance. That's also where all of the Blood Force stuff goes and where all the behind-the-scenes stuff goes. You can also, if you like, go over to my Instagram because I've got commissions open there now. So that's some fun stuff. But yeah, that's going to do it for this video. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.